I'm Philippa Hann, CEO of Paradigm Norton, and this is Life Matters More, where we explore ESG, sustainability, and the future of business. Welcome to Life Matters More, where we explore how people are using their money, work, and influence to build a life and a world that truly matters. Now, imagine this. You're on a TV or film set surrounded by beautifully designed furniture, props, costumes, everything crafted for a moment on screen. And then, just a few weeks later, it all goes to waste. My guests today saw that happening and decided that it didn't make sense. Emma Chaplin and Allan are the founders of PropUp Project, a brilliant social enterprise that takes those unwanted items and gives them a second life, supporting charities, communities, and a more circular way of thinking. They've already redistributed tens of thousands of items and were recently recognised with a Gold Award at the Global Good Awards. But what I love about their story is this. It's not just about sustainability. It's about noticing something that feels wrong and having the courage to do something about it. Kate and Emma, it is such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. What an intro. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about talking to you about this. So I want to start at the beginning, and I want you to take me back to the moment that it all started. You were runners, you were producers, you were wearing your trainers. What did you do on set that you could not unsee?
Yes, it was when we were runners, and it's timely because the London Marathon was yesterday when we record this. But runners in TV and film is very different from running on your feet. But you are running on your feet. Yeah. That's why you're called runners. So I'm sure we were in trainers probably at the time. And it was back when we met, and the runner is sort of the entry level job into TV and film, and you're doing everything. And we were sorting out props cupboards. We would get daily shopping lists to go out to, at the time, Oxford Street, which was full of shops that were buzzing with whatever you could get. And this was pre-Amazon probably, wasn't it? That's scary.
Feels like we were very old.
Yeah, it does feel like we're old. And we'd get big shopping lists of all the props and costumes we'd need to get for this week's TV show we were filming. And so it was there that we were the consumers. We were the ones gathering. And we were the ones helping with art department and setting up these worlds that you see on screen. And then we were also in charge of helping box all that up at the end of filming, bring it back to the office or send it to storage. And so it was in that runner role that we both saw the stuff. And then, we'd experience things like a change of scripts at midnight the day before record. And maybe there'd be a new game idea for a TV show. And suddenly you were ordering more props, ordering more costumes, ordering costumes in every size because you didn't know who was going to wear those different things. And you saw the kind of build up again of stuff. And that just comes with the nature of creating TV shows. So yeah, that's where it all began.
Yeah, and I think fundamentally for Kate and I, we, as you mentioned, we'd boxed it all up at the end and we'd put it in storage, or sometimes worse, things would get discarded. And both Kate and I would have walked into work past multiple organisations or even people who we just thought there's stuff sitting there that could really be benefiting the wider world. And why are we not doing anything about this? So yeah, it was first-hand experience, and then a real personal passion that we shouldn't be doing this, and seeing people that need it, that drove us to set up PropUp in the first place.
Thank you. And that the actual
Okay, so I think people notice things all the time, but they don't set up a company that deals with it and do what you've done. So what happened? How did it go from that feels wrong to I'm going to do something about this? Because this is your full-time job, right?
Yeah, we naively thought, maybe it could be a little side project, and we run it alongside our full-time producer jobs. But yeah, very quickly we realised if we're actually going to make a difference, we have to dedicate full-time to this. But yeah, we noticed this was a problem from being runners, and then, as is the way, we got swept up in becoming researchers, assistant producers. And it was sort of during COVID, so 2020, 2021, when both Kate and I were a bit disillusioned with the industry. There was so much sort of neighborism during COVID as well, of like supporting one another. And I think we'd been a bit like, we kept seeing this happen time and time again. It wasn't just that first job where we met, where we were runners, where all this was happening. Like, it was every job we worked on. It was everyone we were talking to in the industry. And I think we just thought, right, well, should we do something about it? Let's do something about it. And obviously, we don't need to talk about the climate emergency and the cost of living crisis. It was just everywhere. It was sort of screaming to us, why don't you try and do something with the waste problem in your industry? So yeah, it was, I don't even know if I've answered that question.
Yeah, you absolutely have. And we tested it, and it was working with different people as freelancers in different teams. And every time you'd see a box of props or it'd be the end, everyone in the office, we'd all go, oh my gosh, isn't it awful? Oh, it's awful. And we'd all say, isn't it awful? And then I would start to say, and Emma probably did this too, well, do you know Emma? Me and Emma are going to set up this thing where we actually give it back. And people go, I mean, that's exactly what needs to happen. And then we'd all go on our next job and go, oh, we haven't. And actually, we probably haven't given COVID enough credit. I think a lot came out of COVID positive. It's not just us that set up new companies and new organizations and were drawn to what their passion was. And I think that is what happened. We had a moment in time, the world did, to stop and pause. And also, we didn't have any work because TV wasn't being made, that we got creative and started brainstorming what this could look like, what it could be called. And then when we were allowed in the storage units in COVID, we tested it.
Yeah.
And then it started to work. So then we were like, right, looks like this is us.
We've got to do it now. Up go those producer hats, and into storage units we go. But it was very obvious very quickly that there was a huge supply and a huge demand for something like PropUp. So it just sort of then escalated, and what was a little project turned into, oh, we better do this full time, but let's just do 6 months because maybe it's not going to work. And then 6 months is now 4 and a bit years, nearly coming up to 5 years, and we're still doing it. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'm very glad that you are. Okay, so you've spoken a bit about time being a barrier there, but why hadn't this happened before? Was it just time? Was it habits? Was it budget? Why hadn't anyone done this before?
So I think it's a bit of all three. Not only have the systems been in place for years and years and years, and sort of habitually we would have put, or the industry would have put, like a line in the budget for a skip or storage for clearance. But also we are part of a freelance industry. So everyone is brought on to do the show. And then, as is the way, when filming wraps, most people scatter and go on to a different show, whereas it's one person left to deal with everything to do with the clearance. And that one person is probably left with very little budget, very little time, and very little resources. So the quicker, easier thing to do isn't necessarily the right thing to do. However, I would like to say that is the industry that Kate and I sort of came into is very different to the industry that we are now working in, which is a really positive thing. And also a scary thing, because that again reminds me how long we've known each other and how long we've been in telly. But I think more and more there's pressures to be more sustainable. More and more people really do care about what happens to the stuff. And so things are changing, behavioural shifts are happening. But, historically it would have been a sort of combination of all three of those things.
Also, it's worth saying that the industry is massively, as you've said, changed, but changed in a different way. That when TV and film was first made, there was a few films a year that everyone rushed to the cinema to see. And there were like 4 channels on TV doing only certain shows. And so there were lots of there are still, but lots of props houses, the construction teams and stuff were all the same people moving around. And the industry has grown like so like massively. There's all the channels you can watch on TV, all the streamers, all the online content that you get. There's films being made all the time. That with that comes more stuff, more props, more costume, not enough places to store these things to be reused again, and also a culture in the wider world of fast-paced buying, consumerism being very disposable, very cheap and hard and fast. And naturally, the way the sort of economy of the world has gone is the budgets have also shrunk in TV and films. So it's a culmination of all those many things, of loads more stuff being bought quickly and cheaply, with less resources to pass it on to another place.
So, I mean, it sounds like it wasn't hard to persuade people that this was needed. Did you have to do anything to make it easy because the easy thing, right, is to put a line in the budget for a skip, or to stick it in a storage place or whatever. What did you have to do to make it easy for people to say, actually, that PropUp is the easy option for us, let's do that?
Yeah. Well, I think having come from the industry and knowing that there was very little time, resources, budget, coming up with a solution that was like taking the hassle off everyone's hands was really important to us. People want a one-stop shop, whatever. People want one solution that, they can know that, okay, great, I don't have to deal with that. So we will literally go in and do everything from recce that storage unit you've not been to for 2 years, inventory everything and check it back with you, because you might have some items in there that you didn't know you had that you could reuse, or you want to sort of keep as a momentum. And then once that's all been signed off that we can prop it up, we then sort of connect to the local community and redistribute that, do all the logistics, talk to the storage units, everything, and then we deliver at the end an impact report. And I think coupled with taking the hassle off everyone's hands and demonstrating the impact are two things that really help us sort of make it easier and prove that PropUp is a good option. Because once people can see that their sort of so-called waste could be a life-changing resource and the beautiful stories that come out from that, it's a no-brainer that's what people should be doing.
I can't imagine the joy you must have had the first time you opened up one of those lock-ups and went, all this stuff. How did that feel? Do you still get the same feeling now?
Every single one we go to.
It's like an Aladdin's cave.
It is. But to be honest, now that it's our business, the first shock, is oh my God, sit down. There's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. And often we're like, it's a lot more than we thought it was. So let's just get a strong coffee and take it all in.
Put the music on, roll up your sleeves.
Yeah. Get the music on, we roll up our sleeves, we start to unpack, and that's when we go, and your brain just goes. Yeah. It starts ticking, oh my gosh, a box of shells. Maybe we can find the local school or the local nursery to play with these in the class. And then you just, and then you're off. And then before you know it, it's all moving out the door. But we definitely have every job, don't we?
But I would say as well, the first time we went to a storage unit was one of our sort of case studies with a company that we've worked with lots before, who are amazing. And their unit was in King's Cross, in Somerstown to be precise. And in terms of a proof of concept, it was incredible, because we flung open those doors and it was full of gold, essentially, that could support, I can't remember the statistic off the top of my head, but I think Somerstown is one of the most deprived areas in London. And within, less than a mile radius from that storage unit holding all those items were hundreds of people, organisations, community groups, reuse projects that were really in need of that stuff. So for us, it was like, well, this just makes sense. Open the doors, hand it out.
And it proved our model that it became, which was if you can react on the doorstep of where you are. We're not going to get a van and take this to the other side of London. There are literally organisations that are right here. The other thing I was going to say about when we go into a unit, the reason it's also so is because every job is completely different. So like I had to go and recce, for example, a a prison set. And the lighting and the lighting rig had all been taken down. So I ended up having to walk around it with torches, absolutely terrified, but seeing all the props and costume that were in the cells and in all on the prison set. But you can do that one day, and then a storage unit high to the ceiling with furniture from a reality show the next day. And then, you know, it's so varied, isn't it? And the things you can open a box and be like, oh God, oh no, it's all right. It's just they're fake spiders. It's fine.
Yeah,
we've had a dead dog, a fake dead dog, and you can really have a moment of.
Yeah, I mean, is there a market for fake dead dogs?
Theatres
and film. It went to a
local film set.
It went to a film school with young people, so it gave them like something to perform around and come up with, you know, fun ideas around a sort of prop dead dog.
You'd be surprised. I'd like to say 99% of the time we find a home, no matter how random, for something. Just have to pivot or think of something different. But yeah, that fake dead dog lives on, ironically, another day.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't hold on to this stuff. You get rid of it sort of immediately, do you? Do you have any idea until you've opened that door where it's going to go, or are you just thinking hard and fast as you're looking at it?
We might have been sent an inventory or some photos. Well, we will have known an idea of what we're getting our hands into. And our main, we've got two different services. So we call it our exclusive service. We'll go where the items are stored. So like that prison drama, for example, was in Glasgow. So we went there and we distributed to the local community. We also have two hubs in London, which you can sort of see in the background if you're watching, where we can gather things from any London shoots and any shoots that need immediately to get it out. But our space, unfortunately, is not huge, so we can't keep too much. And so therefore we need quite a quick or a regular turnaround of the items going out the door to the community so that we can make space for the next job. But we generally know what we're expecting. And we will go in and start inventorying, and then our research will happen remotely for the people we're going to give it to, and then we go back and do the distribution. Yeah.
So your little black book on kind of both sides of the fence is pretty extensive, I should think. I mean, presumably you are quite deeply ingrained in community centres, in theatre schools, in theatres themselves. I mean, was that something you had to go out and build?
Yeah, it's, I think, something we really pride ourselves on because we're a small grassroots startup for now. We really take the time to get to know the local community and speak, pick up the phone, find out what their needs are, talk to the local councils, connect to the schools in the area, like really get to know either where the stuff is or where our two hubs are. We're really ingrained in those local communities now. And I just think
it's what brings us joy as well. I think sometimes people, if they don't know what we do well enough, they might sort of say, oh great, you book a charity van to come and collect and take it to the charity shop. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
We're talking to Sally at, the local school, and we're finding out who the other organizations are locally. And we're finding, we always say there's often, when we go to new areas, there is always a person that someone will say, have you spoken, like in Manchester, we had Mr. Salford, not in Manchester, in Salford, sorry, I must correct that because he also corrected me because it's in Salford and he's known as Mr. Salford. And it's like, if you can get to those people, they know every single organization, everything that's happening. And it means you're the namesake for a reason. You are really propping up exactly what they need. You're going to find out if they've got a local fair happening the next weekend and they need trestle tables and bunting, or you're going to know if the theatre's doing a new production of something, or
even not smaller scale, but like you're going to know that at that school there's a family that have actually just moved into emergency housing and they don't have flooring, they don't even have rucksacks for the kids to bring to work. Like, we really get to know. I don't know whether it's a positive thing or not, but we've got a bit of a nickname in this building, where we're in the community building, is Del Boy and Rodney, because it's like, well, you need a sofa? Right, leave it with us. We'll find you a sofa. Or someone we met the other day, he was like, you're a bit like the Wombles, aren't you, as well? Like, dealing with waste. I was like, what about like Barbie or Selma and Louise? Yeah, it's like the Wombles and Del Boy and Rodney, but I don't know.
I love that. So yeah. I'm gonna need some more stories. You talked about doing impact reports, and I just think it's so important for people to have feedback on, this is a good thing, do it again. So I want your favourite stories from your impact reports of stuff that you've got, where it's gone. No dead dogs, please.
It's so hard for us to pick one story, because as Kate mentioned earlier, like, the beauty is that everything we get is so varied that we can, support a variety of different organizations as a result. But I think to demonstrate that might be more to look at one clearance job, which was a big the said prison drama set, and that was up in Glasgow. And some of the sort of stories that made the impact report off the back of that were, the prison beds had these mattresses. I mean, who wants prison beds and mattresses unless maybe a theatre or another filming project? But instead, the mattresses got given to a local school for their early years nursery soft play. High-vis jackets that were branded and couldn't be repurposed directly got given to an amazing charity that sort of upcycles, and they're now laptop bags. So they haven't been textile recycled. They've actually been given a second life as something else. Loads of sort of set flattage and signage that had like the prison name and rules on that we couldn't just give away again because of IP. We gave to a Scouts group, and they were doing a Willy Wonka themed
summer camp.
Yeah. And so they painted those set flats in wood because it didn't matter what was underneath it, and they've transformed it into this amazing fair. I mean, just so many. Oh, and just even like toiletries that were used as set dressing. Well, they're actual toiletries, and they got given to homeless shelters and emergency housing as a lifeline. And there's one of the funny or brilliant ones was a local church came to take various items, including some gardening, because they're doing a community allotment. But they also took bags and bags and bags of loo roll that was the set dressing, because that was then something they didn't have to pay for. So they could funnel their resources into sort of the core stuff that they were focusing on, rather than buying loo roll, which I think most of us just take for granted. So yeah, there's lots of weird and wonderful
stories. We love
stories.
The stories when something that was one thing becomes something completely opposite, like a prison bed from a TV show being used for crash mats for kids so that they don't hurt themselves. Those stories we really enjoy.
Our whole sort of thing, what we're sort of striving for is that just because the story's ended on screen doesn't mean that it has to end within the community. And I think our impact reports really demonstrate that. And they're also if there's any doubters about maybe the pricing or what PropUp is doing, as soon as you see one of those impact reports, it's like, oh yeah, we get it. We want to do more of that. And that's what we're trying to encourage is,
I mean, it really feels like this should be the default, doesn't it? How does it become the default for, not just the film and TV industry, but for, more industries? How does that happen? Is it more people like you who just say, I am not going to put up with this, and actually I got a bit of time, so I'm going to do something about it? Or is it something else?
We've definitely noticed that there's different client groups in a way, and one of them is exactly the ones you've described, which are they care. And I also think people start to follow when people care, and it's the same. It can work negatively. So if people aren't doing the right thing, it can become easy to all just not do the right thing. If you start to see people doing the right thing, you go, oh, I should probably do what they're doing, and it can snowball in a positive way. I think it's all in the planning. So it is about caring. The other people that we would put into our client category as well is a real need. Like, actually, we are, all the lovely social stuff is wonderful, and that is what drives what we do. But we're essentially a clearance solution. So the other thing is, the other sort of clientele is people going, I am left on my own in a production office. I have a massive storage unit. It's running out in a month. I don't know how to clear this. So we also tick that box of just being a clearance solution, but we can also give you that positive impact feedback for your social and sustainable reporting. We don't like to push policies and things, and no one likes to be forced to do things, but I think that there is also an element of it has to come from the top. It has to be part of your commitments, and maybe it is your policies and your regulations. It needs to start being kind of not a nice to have, but you need to be doing this. And maybe that comes with, should there be fees for doing the wrong thing? Should you be charged? And that's happening now in the waste world as well, I think, as we're trying to solve the climate crisis and deal with our waste in a different way. You're getting charged for having to throw things away. So that helps people a bit adjust.
Yeah. One thing I've just thought of as well is that, like, our industry is very awards driven. We've got the Oscars, we've got RTS, National Television Awards, the BAFTAs, and there should be more sort of champions of sustainability and doing the right thing in the industry, because again, that's what drives people. If you're sort of seen to be doing the right thing and rewarded for it as well and celebrated for it, I think that would, as well as the policies and the sort of fines and things and the governance, I think celebrating it and shining more of a light on the good stories. And we're trying to produce content all the time to show what we're doing and show the good things that you can do with your waste. And I think if there were more good news stories and more sort of celebratory things, that would also help.
Yeah, it's just such a win-win, isn't it? So if anyone listening knows anyone at the BAFTAs and wants to make a pledge for a sustainability award, I might just think that'd be amazing. I think that's a brilliant idea. But talking of awards, you won the gold in the Global Good Awards. I have to say, I love the Global Good Awards. They are, they really, really dig into the work that people do. They're not awards that are given out just for taking your table. So I guess it was a difficult application. Tell me why you applied and, what you got out of it.
Well, I think when you get sort of, in any startup, you're sort of swept into the day-to-day, the rolling up your sleeves, getting your hands dirty, having to wear multiple hats of doing everything. You never really get to stop and look back at what you've achieved or the journey that you've been on. And applying for awards is sometimes that process. And even just the application, you get to sort of really dig into why you started this in the first place, what your mission is, what you've achieved so far. And I think that whole process is really positive for us as people and also to share with our wider team. And the Global Good Awards, I mean, the name's in the title. Like, I think what we loved about it wasn't just, people ticking a sustainability box. It's like, how are you really impacting humanity in what you're doing to save people and planet? And as you say, the sort of whole application process was so rigorous. You also knew that they really cared about, it wasn't greenwashing, it wasn't ego boosting. It was really, they did their research, and it meant so much. So when we got invited, let alone won, we were totally thrilled. And it was so inspiring to be, every story we had, like Kate and I would just be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We need to look them up. We need to speak to them. They're amazing. I can't believe they've thought of that. It's such a wonderful night. And I think a highlight as well for me is we brought Kate's mum along.
Amazing.
And because we're just a small team, and sometimes we can't necessarily afford to bring everyone. And Kate's mum has been a supporter of PropUp, rightly so, since the beginning, and so she came with us, and it was just like having our own hype woman. And then when we won, it was she just really brought the energy for it, didn't she? It was amazing.
I think she confused the awards ceremony with a rodeo.
Whooping and cheering.
If you were there, Philippa, you might have heard her. I don't know, but
yeah, she was whooping and cheering for everyone, not just us. So it was.
But it was our inside coming out, probably, because it does mean a lot when you apply for those sort of things. You don't know if they are being read in detail and our message is coming across, and you spend so much time and effort writing them that it just means the world to be recognised for the work we're doing. And you know what else it does? It keeps you going because it says you're in the right place, you're on the right track, and you're doing the right thing. So when in the face of adversity, or when we're struggling, or when we think, this is quite a slog, it tells you, no, keep going. And I think any sort of acknowledgement and awards for anything does that, and it's really important to keep morale and boost us. So
well, that's exactly why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because I see people winning these amazing awards and doing amazing things, and I think to myself, I just want to know more. I want to know more about who you are and what you've done and why you've won. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Hi, I'm Karen Sutton, founder of the Global Good Awards, and we're thrilled to be partnering with Paradigm Norton to bring you this podcast. We exist to celebrate the people and organisations out there creating real, lasting change in the world, and we'd love you to be part of it. If you think you've delivered something special, then find Global Good Awards online and consider putting in an entry or two. Now enjoy the rest of the podcast.
I want to move on to how this has changed you personally, because I don't think you can get involved. This wasn't your bag beforehand. And I don't think you can get involved in this world and all the amazing things that you're involved in without it changing you and who you are and what you do and what you care about. So tell me a little bit about that.
100%. I think there's so many different sort of ways to answer that. But I'd say because we came at it from a social perspective to begin with, we obviously very quickly fell into the sustainability world of things not going to waste. So not only are we passing these things on to people to use, but in turn, it's not going to landfill, it's being reused, we're encouraging the circular economy. So then you are thrown into thinking very differently in your day-to-day life. And I think I'm saying we, talking sort of for both of us, but we look at objects completely differently now. I think any object is a resource, and we say at work, and I think it goes home with us, that before you throw something away, you look at it and go, does this need to be thrown away? Can this be fixed? Can this be passed on? Can we wash this out and reuse it? And a lot of the time that filters and stops you from throwing away a lot of things. And it makes you, when shopping for clothes or home stuff, you do it very differently, because you're very aware of, like, am I going to keep that for a very long time? How has that been produced? Is that a sustainable brand? Where is it coming from? And it's, to be honest, it's more fun looking at antique shops, vintage shops, Vinted, eBay, and you get more bargains if you found something online you like and then you switch and check eBay or somewhere else, you might just find it for half the price. So it definitely influences our everyday from a sort of consumer point of view, but also I think in the way we live our lives with community and the way we see people, because we have learnt so much because of the variety of stuff. We work with a variety of charities. We're learning about so many different groups of vulnerable people that we see.
You can't turn a blind eye when you go home.
A different way. And I think it's that thing of, you don't know what someone's going through when you're walking down the street, and when you see people in a difficult position, you think very differently about it, because we've met the people who are helping them and we've met the people on the front line. That's made a big difference.
And I've got a 5-year-old daughter at home, and just sort of being so conscious of the world she's coming into and the person that I would love her to be, like making sure not only that, you know, if we get a new toy, let's give one to someone that might need it, or let's actually go to the charity shop, or, you know, we've been so lucky as well, especially with school uniform, because she grows so quickly. But we've had hand-me-downs from the community, which, you know, you really tap into your local community for things like that. But then also, like you were saying about the social side, it's like just instilling a sense of really deeply caring about other people is really important to, well, I'm going to say for us, because it is. So yeah, it's nice to sort of filter that through a 5-year-old as well.
And I think we don't realise how ingrained we are in that. You know, when you're talking to people who do other jobs, and you can give insight into what's going on in this sort of sector of work, people are like, oh, they don't even know about that. And in turn, you can pass that information on, and people will look differently as well at,
I've had
parts of.
That's just made me think as well. A lot of friends brilliantly have sort of said, you know, often they would either get rid of their clothes or give it to a charity shop, and giving it to a charity shop is an excellent solution. But some of them are now saying, I want to know that these clothes are actually going to people that need them, rather than necessarily being sold. So can you connect me to my local clothes bank? Or is there a homeless charity you've heard of in our area that we could give this clothing to? And I was like, yes, this is a really positive way of thinking. Like, how can we directly help these people, as well as supporting all the charity shops that are doing amazing work? But I think just, making people think a bit differently. That's good.
What's really come out strongly from our conversation is not stuff, it's people and community, isn't it? I'm almost surprised actually how strong it's the messaging from you is around, this is about community, it's not about things.
Yeah, because the world's become very disconnected, hasn't it? And, you know, we don't want to be too doom and gloom, but it has. And I think that's having quite an effect in all different areas of life. We're so disjointed, and it's becoming very, it can become very selfish and self-centered, and think about what you need and yourself. And we need to be much more connected. And so it is at the core of what PropUp do. It's bringing people together, but also what we want to do is bring the industry into that world. You know, it's a very rich industry, and it's very sparkly and fabulous, but behind it are a lot of people like us who are working really hard, and some are struggling with work if it's freelance and they don't have any in part. And when we worked in it, and I know it's the same now, often people say, you know, I don't feel like I give back enough, or I'm not getting that lovely satisfaction back. And that's what PropUp is about, is colliding those worlds together and going, it can be sparkly and glamorous and wonderful, but we can also help everyone around us wherever we are.
And to your point about the items themselves, they're not just stuff either. It's not just AstroTurf being put into a garden in a local school. It's AstroTurf being put into a local garden at a school to provide safe play, a comfortable area, and somewhere inspiring for them to go in their breaks. It's not just a bike being given to a refugee charity. It's a lifeline that means they don't have to funnel any money that they earn into transport. It gives them the freedom and confidence to explore the new area that they're living in. We met someone quite early on called Les, who was a former fireman, and then he went into safeguarding in the fire industry, the fire industry, the fire service. And he sort of talked so passionately about seeing people that he lived basically next door to, you know, kids sleeping on floors, nothing in the kitchen, just in really, really severe furniture poverty and cost of living crisis situations. So he set up a charity, and in one of the testimonials he gave back, I think we were very tired, but we're also so passionate about this, and so we were in floods of tears, because he was like, you know, it's not just pots and pans, it's pots and pans to help parents cook nutritious meals, which means the children can go and learn with a full stomach the next day. It's towels instead of tea towels to dry themselves with after a bath. It's bedding so that they all get a good night's sleep. So when they go to work or go to school, they're sort of feeling good and confident about the day. Just all these, it's not just toys at Christmas. It's something to give children a smile on that special day when, often they get nothing. It's like so much more than just passing one thing on from one place to another. It's what can be triggered in terms of positive human impact or a movement, if that's not too big a word, is so powerful. And we're just desperate to sort of get that message out there as much as possible.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully people listening are hearing you loud and clear. I think it's incredibly inspirational. Okay, so if people want to contact you, if they're a charity, if they are a community group, how do they do that? At Paradigm Norton, we believe money matters, but life matters more. That's why we put people, purpose, and long-term impact at the heart of financial planning. As an employee-owned B Corp business, sustainability is central to how we think about wealth, helping you invest in ways that support responsible business practices. So by working with us, you can feel confident that your money is working for your future and the world you want to live in.
There is a form on our website. So there's a contact page and they can click on a form and they fill out the details of their organisation. It goes through a verification process on our side. And then we will include them on our directory when we're in their area. They'll get an email to say what we've got and the sort of where it is, and they can reserve what they would like. And we work on a sort of first come, first serve basis and a wait list. And then we organise when they can come and collect it. So they can do that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Probably the best way.
Great. All right. So you talked about a movement, and I don't think it is too big a word. I think let's make
revolution.
A revolution.
A revolution.
So if you, so you're doing this, but there must be opportunities elsewhere in other industries. So for people listening in their own industry and they see something that isn't right, and as you said before, for I don't know how many times you had that conversation over coffee saying, God, this is terrible, this shouldn't be happening. What would your advice, as people who've been there and done it, what would your advice to them be?
Well, if I would say if they've seen it, the likelihood is other people have seen it too. So you're clearly onto something if it's coming from first-hand experience. And the best thing you could do is be the person to do something about it. Be brave, be bold.
Find someone to do it with.
Yes, that is.
Grab the other person that's the last
before they have time to doubt it, just grab each other and do it.
If they say, oh yeah, I saw that too, then just grab them,
yes.
Make sure they don't leave.
Yeah, it has. I think we're both incredibly grateful for each other because it's not easy setting up a startup. And whilst we're so effusive and positive about PropUp, there have been challenges and obviously highs and lows. And I think doing it together and then building a bigger community, we have amazing people that work for us, that volunteer with us, the clients that support us, the charities we work with, meeting people like you, people, it's just having people to help support and grow is so important as well, I think.
And I'd say that to those people that you're talking about, if they've seen it in their industry, just trust that, as Emma said, if you've seen it, someone else has seen it, and start walking. As I was saying to Emma earlier, it's almost like you're on a pilgrimage and you start walking and people will just join on, and they might come for a little bit and then go away and then come back, but you'll soon turn around and there'll be a big group of you and you will have made a big difference. So just take one step at a time.
Love that. All right, we're gonna finish with some quick fire questions for you. So we'll take it in turns. Question 1: what is the most questionable thing you've ever kept just in case? Kate, we'll start with you, shall we?
Yes. Well, questionable.
I was going to grab that.
It is very questionable.
You keep that for yours.
No, I think you should have those.
Either, but maybe you can edit.
This is questionable because why have we can't?
Emma's got one.
This is questionable. That is questionable. Look, you have to learn.
Okay, for anyone who's not watching, we have two mostly naked gnomes on a brick. For no good reason.
For no apparent
No reason.
Can you say where that came from?
I don't remember, and I don't think we can, but we just couldn't part with it. But it is a bit like, just in case what, though? In case, actually, do you know what's awful? We can't show you, but it was sat next to our Global Good Award.
Oh.
All our prized possessions sit together.
We were really quizzing ourselves, because we do keep things. We always say, well, you never know. Someone might want that. Oh, I tell you what, there's a box over there that we actually did rehome the other week, but it was there for, I think, 3 years, all of toilet seats.
Toilets, where did they go?
They were brand new in boxes. So
Where did they go?
we never wanted to get rid of them, because we were like, they're going to be useful at some point.
They went
to a local community group that's setting up a new community space, and they're all about not throwing anything away. So they take absolutely anything, so people from the community can come and get stuff. So that is
Brilliant.
from any home where if they're doing any work at their house or anything, they can come and get things. So they were very happy to take brand new toilet seats.
Yeah, that's probably a much more practical one than that one.
We've had a leopard print toilet seat as well before, but we did sell that one.
Yeah, that went quickly.
That was special.
Yeah, sounds it. All right, question number 2. Are you a hoarder or a ruthless declutterer? Emma.
That is a good question. I am a sentimental hoarder,
Okay.
but in life a declutterer. So I hoard like notes from family members, or cards from Christmases or whatever. But in terms of stuff, I'm sort of a one in, one out. Like, if we are going to get something in, we should probably pass that on to somewhere else, because we just don't have the space either. So that's my long-winded, quick-fire, short answer.
And I can confirm she is, very organised, and she can sometimes come into the hub and just go, right, today we're sorting and clearing and moving everything about. And it's good, because it gets you moving and spring cleaning.
Where are you, Kate? Are you a hoarder?
I've just moved house, and I think I've proved that I probably am a hoarder, because I've taken a lot of stuff with me that I'm now like, we don't need this. So yes, I'm a bit of a hoarder, but I think it's because of not wanting to get rid of it, or always thinking I've always got an idea for it. So I always think, oh, well, if it only was a bit smaller and had a fluffy top or something. And I always think I'll do that as a project, and I never get around to the project. So yeah, I'm a hoarder.
The curse of the creative, I think. I have no creative ability, so I'm a ruthless declutterer. And final quick fire question: best prop you've ever rescued?
Again, very difficult, but I will go with. Oh, did you say Emma? You do it, Emma.
No, you do it.
But I will go with a giant tea bag. So we had a giant tea bag, very random, and it was from a TV breakfast show. And we were, honestly, we'd put it in the first instance in the recycling bit, and we were looking at the material and trying to work out what it was made of so we could recycle it in the best way. And then we worked out it was a giant tea bag, and we managed to also work out that the local theatre's next pantomime was Jack and the Beanstalk. And they took the giant tea bags as the giant's tea bags to drop for Jack and the Beanstalk. So they went on to live a life in the pantomime. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. My best one, I'm just trying to think. Oh, it's so random, but we did, as is everything that we seem to do, but there was a giant, I think we did a job where they had to recreate an art gallery because they couldn't film in an art gallery. So they'd recreated all these ginormous paintings of sort of old scenes, one of which was The Last Supper. And it was honestly massive. And it just so happened, this is what was so beautiful about PropUp sometimes, is everything there's lots of serendipitous moments. And it just so happened that it was coming up to Easter week. So we took it down to the local church, and apparently it had like pride of place, not only for the service, but then for the Sunday school, so that the kids could learn about the Last Supper. And Yeah, just love it. Yeah, it was just happened to be, because if it was any other week, well, I'm sure they would have liked that painting anyway, but it was just so perfectly timed. That was a good one.
Amazing. Well, thank you both. I have loved our discussion today. As I said, I really wanted to interview you. I really wanted to hear more about why you won the Gold Award, what it is that you're doing, and how the heck you marry those two things together. And you've done a brilliant job of explaining just the joy, actually, in what you do and the importance of putting people together who have needs. So I'm just so grateful to both of you. Congratulations again for winning your Gold Award, and absolutely encourage any of our listeners to get in contact with you, fill out your form and become part of your amazing community. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast today. If you have, please do subscribe and send it on to anyone else that you think might be interested. And as always, keep asking great questions.